In the today's lecture in Go Digital channel, we will talk about Google Analytics and three important parameters. And if you take care of these three parameters, you will improve your user engagement and eventually you will rank better in the search engine. So if you are not aware of what Google Analytics and how to set up, there are other tutorials on Go Digital that you can take a look at how to set up Google Analytics and all these things. So in this session, I'm going to talk about three very important parameters that you are going to track over the period of time, whether they are improving or they are deteriorating. So these three are bounce rate, session time, and page per session. So let's first look at the bounce rate. What's the bounce rate? Let's say if 100 users come to your website and 70% of them they go back from your website back to Google or some other website without looking at your any other page, then your bounce rate will be 70%. So a higher bounce rate is worse. That's something you need to remember. 100% is the worst. 20%, 30%, very good. Try to achieve something like 50, 60%. That's reasonable. And it will also depend upon website to website. So there is no one single matrix that uh, we can use as a golden rule. But depending upon your website, one thing is sure is that anything like 90% or above is certainly uh, bad, and that's something you don't want to look at it. I'm going to show you a website where how this looks like, the bounce rate looks like. So for example, in this, this is one of the Google Analytics for one of the websites that I'm looking at. If you look at this one, for this website, the bounce rate is 76.212%. And if you look at the graph over a period of time, you see that it sometimes ranges between 75%, which is worse, 71% is good, a little better, 78%, something like that. So this is intermediate. It's okay, but it's not extraordinarily good. You, it could do better. So if you can, for example, over a period of time, you can improve it to something like 60%, you'll automatically see that your ranking of the website or across all the pages gets better. Uh, how do we improve the bounce rate? How do we reduce the bounce rate? So there are a few of my suggestions that you can implement, but the most important thing is anytime you make a change, observe it back over a period of like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month to see if whatever change you make into the website that improves your bounce rate, it decreases your bounce rate. If you think that you did some experiment and that experiment actually increased your bounce rate instead of decreasing it, then you need to go back to your original thing, work on your drawing board. So there are a few suggestions here, but they are just the approximation of what there are number of different ways you can do that. The one of the things you can do is you can link the related contents within your content. If you are like a content based website, then within your content, for example, if you are giving a name of something, some author or some other author, and you have some content somewhere of that author in your web page, then you can link it within your content. If you are a product based website, then show that product first. Okay, so you don't somebody, you are a e-commerce website and somebody comes to your website and he wants to buy your product, then you need to see the picture of that product, a buy link, and something similar. You don't want to first write a lot of content about that product, because then the user will think that it's not an e-commerce website and then he can bounce from that page. One thing most important is that you want to experiment with the positions of the ads, advertisements, and see which position uh, gets a better bounce rate. You don't want to show it right on the top. You don't want a pop-up right after someone lands on your web page, because then it will be repelling for the users and then they will go back. If you use a lot of images and info, especially the infographics, that keeps the user engaged and he will be willing to read more about